Have you ever had a man suddenly go cold after showing intense interest? 1 minute, he's texting non-stop, planning dates, talking about the future, and the next he's distant, inconsistent, and emotionally unavailable. You're left asking, did I do something wrong? But what if I told you, you were being tested the entire time? Yes, men test women, but not in obvious ways. It's subtle, strategic, often subconscious, and it's not because they're playing games, it's because they want to know one thing. Are you the woman who holds her value no matter what? Or are you someone who'll bend your boundaries just to keep him? These tests aren't meant to be cruel. They're designed to reveal your standards, your self-worth, and how easily you can be shaken, whether it's pulling back to see if you chase, flirting with other women to trigger jealousy, or going silent just to gauge your reaction. Every move has a purpose. But here's the good news. When you know what to look for, you no longer fall into the trap. You rise above it. You stay rooted in your feminine power, and suddenly you're no longer the one being evaluated. You're the one doing the choosing. In this video, we're going deep into the 7 ways men secretly test women and how high-value women pass those tests without even flinching. This isn't about manipulation. It's about awareness. And once you understand the game, you'll never lose yourself trying to win someone again. Because the truth is, how you respond to these subtle tests is exactly how he decides whether you're an option or the one. One of the most confusing and frustrating things a woman can experience in the dating world is mixed signals. One day, he's fully present, complimenting you, making plans, showing genuine interest. The next, he's cold, distant, hard to reach. It feels like whiplash. You start wondering, was I imagining the connection? Did I say something wrong? But what if the chaos wasn't an accident? What if it was intentional? When a man sends mixed signals, it's often not because he doesn't know what he wants, but because he's trying to figure out what you will do. He's testing your emotional reactivity. He wants to see if you'll cling tighter the moment he pulls away, if you'll start overgiving to prove your worth, or if you'll crumble under uncertainty. This test isn't about how much you like him. It's about how much you abandon yourself to keep his attention. Men subconsciously admire women who remain grounded, regardless of external behavior. When he texts less, does your world spin? When he stops initiating, do you panic and compensate? When he withdraws, do you chase? Every time you adjust your energy based on his inconsistency, you reveal a lack of emotional stability. And he notices, not because he's trying to hurt you, but because he wants to see how you handle pressure. The truth is, mixed signals are never random. A man may pull back just enough to spark insecurity, to see if he holds the emotional power in the dynamic. This isn't always malicious, it's instinctual. It's how many men determine if you're confident in who you are, or dependent on how they treat you. He may like you, but he also wants to know, can she hold her own when things aren't perfect? The women who pass this test are the ones who don't try to decode every silence or overanalyze every shift in tone. They don't spiral when he becomes inconsistent. They observe, they protect their peace, they give space, they match energy, not to play games but to maintain their standards. They understand that interest that has to be constantly chased isn't real interest, it's performance. When you don't react emotionally to mixed signals, you send a clear message. You're not easily shaken. You value consistency. You're not desperate for validation. And if someone chooses to play emotional tug of war, you'll gladly let go of the rope. That's powerful. That's attractive. That's the behavior of a woman who is the prize. So the next time a man gives you mixed signals, see it for what it is. Not a personal attack, but a subtle test of your emotional self-worth. And instead of falling into the pattern of chasing clarity, choose to protect your energy. The right man won't confuse you. He'll pursue you with intention. And anyone who tries to blur the lines doesn't deserve a front row seat in your life. The way you respond to uncertainty tells a man everything he needs to know, and tells you even more. One of the most common and emotionally triggering tests a man will use is pulling back just to see how you react. It's subtle at first. The texts slow down. The calls become infrequent. The energy that once felt exciting and full of promise begins to fade. Suddenly, you're left wondering, is he losing interest? Did I do something wrong? Should I reach out first? But before you chase that answer, pause. Because this shift in behavior might not be about losing interest. It might be a test. When a man pulls back after establishing emotional or physical closeness, he's often not confused. He's curious, Curious to see if your confidence is real or conditional. Curious to see if your peace depends on his presence. He wants to know, are you emotionally independent, or will you start grasping the moment he creates distance? This test reveals more than your words ever could. If you immediately reach out multiple times, start explaining yourself, or begin proving your worth, he gets his answer. You fear abandonment more than you value your own standards. But when you stay centered, don't panic, and allow space without chasing it down, that tells a completely different story. It tells him you're self-possessed. You don't rely on someone else's attention to feel secure. Men instinctively test the waters to see how much effort they actually need to give. If you chase when he retreats, you teach him he doesn't have to try that hard. You've just accepted crumbs and called it love. But if he pulls back and you remain steady, living your life, prioritizing your peace, keeping your energy intact, he's forced to realize that if he doesn't show up fully, someone else will. This kind of test is not about punishment. It's about power. In the early stages of dating, men often want to know where the power dynamic stands. When they pull away and you chase, they feel they've gained control. But when they pull back and you don't budge, that's when they realize you're the one in control of your emotional world. And that's where true attraction grows. Now, this doesn't mean you play games or pretend to be unbothered. It means you don't make someone else's inconsistency your responsibility. You don't beg for answers. You don't audition for a role in someone's life when they're not even showing up to the scene. Your energy says, if you need space, take it. I'll be over here building my empire. The women who pass this test with grace are the ones who hold the mirror up. They don't chase, because they know their worth doesn't decrease when someone else can't see it. They don't react, they respond, calmly with boundaries. And if a man's pullback turns into a permanent exit, they don't crumble, they elevate. Because here's the truth, the moment you stop chasing is the moment you start attracting the love you truly deserve. And no real man will ever risk losing a woman who respects herself this much. When a man lets you into his emotional world just a little, it's rarely random. That moment when he shares something personal, painful, or embarrassing. It may seem spontaneous, but it often carries a deeper motive. He's not just opening up. He's watching you. He's testing you. At some point during a growing connection, a man will offer a glimpse of his vulnerability. It could be a story about his childhood, an insecurity he carries, or a moment in life where he felt weak or ashamed. And while you may think he's just expressing himself, the truth is he's paying close attention to how you respond, not to the story itself, but to him as a man in that moment. Why? Because men are taught from a young age to armor up emotionally, to be strong, stoic, in control. So when a man dares to show you the cracks beneath that exterior, it's not just about sharing, it's about assessing safety. He's trying to answer a question that he won't ask out loud. Can I be human with her and still be respected? If you respond with judgment, discomfort, or subtle criticism, even unintentionally, he'll likely never go there with you again. He'll retreat. He may still date you, laugh with you, or sleep with you, but that inner part of him, that soft, hidden core, you won't see it again. Not because you weren't good enough, but because in that moment, you failed his test for emotional safety. But when a woman listens without flinching, when she holds space without trying to fix or analyze, when she reflects back strength instead of shame, that's unforgettable. That's magnetic, because what you've just shown him is rare. You see his humanness, and you still admire his masculinity. This test isn't about your reaction in words alone. It's about energy. Did your eyes shift uncomfortably? Did your tone change? Did you make a joke to lighten the moment because it felt too heavy? Or did you simply receive what he gave you, gently, compassionately, without making it about you? Men don't need you to rescue them from their vulnerability. They just want to know their softness won't make you see them as weak. And the women who pass this test are the ones who understand that true intimacy isn't built on how much you know about someone. It's built on how safe someone feels in your presence. So the next time a man shares something tender, pause before responding. Don't rush to solve it. Don't minimize it. Don't mirror the world that taught him to hide it. Just be present. Your ability to hold space in those moments may be the very thing that makes you unforgettable in his eyes. Because for a man to truly attach, he needs more than chemistry. He needs emotional sanctuary. And if you can offer that, he won't just test you, he'll choose you. You've sent the text. It wasn't overly emotional or clingy. Just a light message, maybe something flirty or thoughtful, and then silence. Hours go by, no reply. You check your phone, you check again, still nothing. You start to wonder, did I say something wrong? Is he losing interest? But this isn't always about disinterest. Often it's a test, and the result he's waiting for isn't in what you said, it's in what you do next. Men will sometimes delay their response, not because they're busy, but because they want to observe how you handle the space between your message and their reply. It's not a childish game. It's a quiet experiment, a test of your patience, your emotional maturity, and most importantly, your sense of self-worth. What he's really looking for is simple. Will she spiral when I go silent? Or will she trust her value enough to wait? When you overreact to slow replies by double texting, sending question marks, or letting anxiety drive your next move, you reveal a deep emotional dependency on his attention. That tells him that you're more interested in control than connection. And while it might seem like a small thing, it speaks volumes. It tells him that your confidence is tied to his responses. And that's exactly what a high-value man doesn't want. On the flip side, when you don't flinch at delayed replies, when you hold your energy, go about your day, and trust that you're still worthy of love and respect, regardless of someone else's texting habits, you pass the test. You show grace under pressure, and that's unforgettable. The women who pass this test aren't cold, distant, or playing hard to get. They're simply not triggered by someone else's inconsistency. They know that one slow reply doesn't define an entire connection. They observe, but they don't assume. They wait, but they don't beg. And most importantly, they maintain their emotional balance, no matter what's happening on their screen. Because here's the truth. How you respond to silence speaks louder than any text ever could. Sometimes he delays the reply on purpose to see if you'll collapse emotionally. Will you assume the worst? Will you confront him for validation? Or will you stay calm, grounded, and unbothered, showing him that your world doesn't revolve around how quickly someone responds? The women who stand out are the ones who don't chase, don't panic, and don't give their power away to a typing indicator. So the next time he takes hours or even days to reply, remember, you don't need to react. You don't need to fill the space. You don't need to prove anything. You just need to keep living your beautiful, full life. The right man will respect a woman who respects herself enough to wait with confidence or walk away with peace. Because your value isn't measured by how quickly he replies. It's measured by how deeply you hold your own center when he does. There's a moment in every growing connection where a man will push gently or boldly against your physical boundaries. It may come across as flirtation, a late-night invitation, a lingering touch, or a suggestive comment. But make no mistake, it's not just about desire. It's a test. He's not just curious about how far you'll go. He's deeply interested in discovering what you allow and, more importantly, what you won't. Men instinctively test for boundaries, not because they don't respect them, but because they want to know if you do. A woman's ability to set and uphold her standards, especially when the chemistry is intense, is a powerful signal of self-respect, and it changes how a man perceives her almost instantly. When he pushes physical boundaries early on, it's not just about attraction. It's about assessing, is she leading with her body or her value? Does she give access to her presence easily? Or does she protect her space like a woman who knows she's the prize? The way you respond in these moments reveals more than words ever could. If you cave to pressure, even subtly laughing off his persistence, saying okay, just to keep the peace, or moving forward even though your gut says wait, you may win the moment, but you lose something far more important, his deeper respect. On the other hand, when a woman holds her ground, not with coldness, but with calm certainty, everything shifts. When you look a man in the eye and say, I like you, but I don't move that fast, or I value connection before chemistry, you don't repel him, you intrigue him. Because suddenly you're different. You're not trying to please him, impress him, or be what he wants. You're showing him who you are, and letting him decide if he's worthy of more. This kind of woman doesn't need to prove anything with her body. She doesn't let pressure override her inner peace, and she doesn't see no as rejection. It's protection. Protection of her heart, her values, and her emotional well-being. And the truth is, men remember these women, not because they were a challenge, but because they had character, because they were bold enough to honor themselves even when it would have been easier to give in, because they made it clear access to them is earned, not given on impulse. If a man walks away because you said not yet, that's not a loss, it's a blessing. But if he stays, leans in with respect, and begins to see you as more than a momentary thrill. That's where trust begins. That's where emotional safety grows. That's where real attraction lives. So the next time you feel those physical boundaries being tested, don't freeze and don't fall. Seek from your worth. Remember, your body is not a tool to keep his attention. Your standards are the filter that show him exactly who he's dealing with. A woman who doesn't just attract, but commands respect. You're in a conversation with him. Everything seems light, fun and flowing. Until he casually drops her name. Oh yeah, Sarah from work said the same thing. Or he suddenly brings up how his female friend looked great last weekend. Or how his ex used to do something really well. You pause, something in your gut tightens.
Why is he telling me this?
Here's the truth, he's not just talking, he's testing. One of the most underestimated tests a man will use is the jealousy trigger. He'll bring up another woman. Her beauty, her attention, her closeness. Not necessarily because he's into her, but because he wants to see how secure you are in yourself. He's trying to answer the silent question. Will she compete? Will she crumble? Or will she calmly own her worth? Men know the power of comparison. They know that mentioning another woman can subtly ignite insecurity, but they're not always doing it to be cruel. Sometimes they're doing it to test the emotional foundation of the woman they're with. It's like holding up a mirror and saying, let's see what shows up when I make her feel like she's not the only option. Now, most women fall into one of two traps. They either start overperforming, trying to prove they're better than Sarah from work, or they spiral into silent resentment. Both are emotionally expensive, and both say one thing loud and clear: you feel threatened. And when a man sees that he can easily rattle your confidence by simply mentioning another woman, he knows exactly where your power begins to slip. But the high-value woman, she plays it differently. She doesn't flinch. She doesn't compete. She doesn't shrink. When a man brings up another woman in front of her, she stays calm, composed, and emotionally grounded. Why? Because she knows that no woman is her competition when she's operating from deep self-worth. She doesn't feel the need to win his attention, because she understands her energy already speaks for itself. Her presence, her grace, her boundaries, those are her power. And here's the secret: the women who don't get jealous, who don't beg for reassurance, who don't suddenly try to prove they're better, they're the ones men obsess over later, because they passed the test without even realizing it. So the next time he name drops another woman, remember, this is not about her. It's about you. It's about how you respond when someone tries to shake your center. Let your silence say, I'm unbothered. Let your confidence say, if you want to compare, you're not ready for a queen. Let your energy say, I don't chase, I attract. Because the woman who doesn't react to jealousy games, she doesn't just stand out, she rises above. One of the most confusing and strategic moves a man can make is pulling the emotionally unavailable card. You're vibing, things seem to be progressing, and then suddenly he drops a line like, I'm just not ready for anything serious, or I've been hurt before so I keep my walls up, or the classic, let's just see where this goes, no pressure. And just like that, you're in limbo. But here's what you need to know: this isn't always a confession. Sometimes it's a test. When a man claims emotional unavailability, he's often not trying to push you away. He's observing what you'll tolerate. He wants to see, will you stick around and accept less, hoping for more? Or will you respect yourself enough to walk away from half-hearted connection? It's a test of your self-worth disguised as his vulnerability. This move allows him to keep his options open while still enjoying your emotional investment. He gets your affection, your support, your energy, but without committing to anything deeper. And if you start trying to fix him, love him harder, or prove that you're the one who can finally open him up, you've fallen into the trap. See, the emotionally unavailable card is not always a fact. It's often a shield, a test to see how much access you'll grant to someone who's already declared they can't give you what you deserve. It's his way of saying, this is all I'm willing to offer, and watching to see if you'll negotiate your standards to accept crumbs instead of waiting for the full meal. But here's what powerful, high-value women understand. Emotional availability isn't optional, it's the foundation. If a man isn't in a place where he can meet you with depth, presence, and vulnerability, then no amount of patience, proving, or loving will change that. And no test is worth losing your peace. When you hear, I'm not ready, believe him, but don't try to become the exception. Don't make it your mission to be the one who makes him ready, because real love doesn't ask you to earn emotional access. It offers it willingly, openly, and without excuses. The woman who passes this test is the one who hears, I'm not ready, and says, that's okay, but I am. I'm not going to wait around hoping that changes. That kind of clarity is magnetic. That kind of strength is unforgettable, because it shows him that your love has a standard, and your presence is a privilege. So if a man tells you he's emotionally unavailable, let that be the end of the story, not the beginning of your struggle. Don't try to become what he needs to feel ready. Become the woman who gracefully exits when someone can't meet her where she already is. Emotionally mature, fully available, and ready for real. Because men will test you with distance. But the ones who pass your test, the one that says I will never settle for halfway, are the ones truly worthy of your heart. At the end of the day, every test a man throws at you, whether it's delayed replies, emotional unavailability, jealousy triggers, or pushing physical boundaries, isn't about manipulation. It's about discovery. He's not just trying to figure you out. He's trying to figure out how you see yourself. High-value women don't pass these tests because they know the game. They pass because they're rooted in self-respect. They don't react out of fear, desperation, or a desire to be chosen. They respond from a place of calm power, inner worth, and emotional clarity. What makes a woman high value isn't her looks, her charm, or even how much a man wants her. It's her standard. It's her ability to say, this is who I am, this is what I need, and if you can't meet me there, I'll gracefully move on. No anger, no begging, no drama, just truth. When a man delays his replies, she doesn't chase. When he tests her boundaries, she doesn't fold. When he tries to trigger her with stories of other women, she doesn't compete. She observes, she decides, and she acts in alignment with her values, not his behavior. The real secret: a high-value woman understands that every interaction is a reflection of her relationship with herself. If she's at peace internally, nothing shakes her externally. She doesn't need constant validation because she's already affirmed her own worth. She doesn't play power games because she knows she is the power. And she doesn't cling to potential in a man. She looks at patterns, consistency, and truth. Men don't forget these women, because while many may pass the surface-level beauty test, very few pass the character test. And when a woman moves through life with this level of self-possession, she naturally commands more than attention. She commands respect. If you've ever wondered why some women are adored, prioritized, and pursued deeply, while others are breadcrumbed, confused, and constantly questioning where they stand, the answer is here. It's in how you respond to the test. It's in how you hold your boundaries, your peace, and your value when things feel uncertain. A high-value woman doesn't fear losing a man who's not aligned with her standards. She fears losing herself while trying to keep him. So if you take anything from this video, let it be this: you never have to win a man by performing, pleasing, or proving your worth. You win by remembering who you are and refusing to accept less than you deserve. Because when a man sees that you can't be shaken by tests, games, or emotional ambiguity, he knows he's dealing with a woman who is rare, and rare women aren't options. They are the standard.